Okay. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Non-Classic. This is episode number 1641, episode number 1535. You're probably thinking, Nick, you're putting out a lot of these videos today, which, because I had a lot of trades review, that was simply the reason for it. And probably in the next very episode for this video series, I will be discussing individual issues, like the final issue of Mark Millar's Fantastic Four run and a mini-series that was associated with it run. Alright, but first up we're going to space with Venom Space Knight. This collects the issues 713 of the Venom Space Knight ongoing series. There is a funny little story related to this book. Now, yes, I did pick this up in New York when I was up there. The problem was, basically, since May, I've been wanting my hands on this book because I got my hands on Volume 1. The problem was, and this might shock you, this book was hard to find online. Like, apparently this book fell out of print. Excuse me. Yeah. For a book that came out this trade paperback came out 5 years ago, and somehow it fell out of print. I'm not really sure how, but it did. Most of for this one would continue the adventures of Venom as the Space Knight, for a handful of issues before he has to go back to Earth. He does find out his mentor, the one who's teaching about the stuff related to the symbiote species, is a Skrull. And she's like, "You got a problem with that?" And he's like, "Yeah, you and your people your people, my people do not get along." That's a reference to Secret Invasion. Yep. I'm glad the fact Robbie Thompson remembered that. Despite the fact when this book came out, it had been like 8 years since Secret Invasion. Which, there she is, a Skrull. Yeah, and also, like, she kind of becomes part of his crew that he has. Also, he gets himself a brand new ship, which looks like, appearance-wise, it looks very similar to the ships they had from Stargate SG-1. Yes, the action spaceships during the second half of the series. Well, when they got it, like, and they're wondering about the name of the ship, and they're wondering, like, why the heck did they pick this name for? Since the last ship they had was destroyed. Yeah, appearance-wise, by the exterior ship, it reminds you of those ships. Of course, he calls the ship the Enterprise, which is a great Star Trek reference. Yeah, that is... Okay, there's a story behind that, because anybody who is a big fan of Star Trek and they get their hands on a spaceship, and what did they want to call their spaceship? The Enterprise, because people love the Enterprise. Yep. And of course, there's some other stuff here. And then eventually Venom decides to go back home. Because I think Robert Thomas must have got word, oh crap, this book is getting axed. And maybe he got a memo from Colin Bunn. Hey, there is a plot thread from my run that I never got a chance to wrap up. Could you wrap it up at the end of your run? And he'd be like, sure, why not? So Venom goes back to Earth, and he runs to Mania for the first time in 3 years. Yes, Mania. At this point in time, she had not made appearance in the comic book since the end of Venom Volume 2. Since the last issue of Colin Bunn, issue 42, came out in 2013. Now, why the heck this character never appeared after that book ended? No idea. Excuse me. So, they go back to Earth. Peter, of course, already found out prior to this that Venom is in fact not Eddie Brock anymore. It's actually Flash Thompson. They go along as first. Now, as far as I can tell when it comes to Flash Thompson, at this point in time, Flash does not know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. He does not know that. So thanks to meeting up with Mania and reunite with her after a brief fight with her, they do in fact have this little thing where they kind of temporarily cure her little hell mark thing. She still has the hell powers. And then, of course, the book ends up going supposedly more adventures. Which, nope, that does not happen. Because somehow between books, Flash Thompson lost symbiote. Though this is not explained until Venom 150, roughly 7 issues after this book ended, which involved the FBI for some reason, who apparently had some sonic gun that apparently spooked Venom to abandon Flash Thompson. Which, by the way, they never saw each other again until Venom Inc. Yes, it took over a year to basically finally have these two reunite. But nope, stays Eddie Brock. And it stayed with Eddie Brock up until very recently. Now the current host is his son, Dylan Brock. Yep. I do appreciate, though, the fact that the writer of this book actually had it where you have Andy asking Flash Thompson, hey, can you go back to your old look? I like to look better than your current look. And he's like, sure. Why not? And he goes back to the look from the Rick Remender that basically was first given to him at the start of the Rick Remender run. I gotta say, this book was good. Yeah, it was a really enjoyable book. Like, what is so wrong with this book? No, seriously. This book is fantastic. My final thoughts on the Venom Space Knight series. It's a damn good book, and it was the first book Venom had come out with in about, I think it was like, I think it had been 2 years since the book. I think this came out in, I think the start of this came out over 2015, I think it was. Excuse me. Yeah, I think it was 2015. I'm mistaken. Let me take a look about that for sure, because I think it was. Let's see. Yeah, it had been like a little over 2 years since the ending of the previous Venom book. Yeah, it had been like a little over 2 years. And it had published in November 2015, and it was concluded in October 2016. So basically about a year. And I should also point out, though, the issues where he runs the Mania again, these were actually Civil War II tie-ins. Let me point this out, though, about the Civil War II tie-ins for this book. Like, nothing to do with Civil War II. It just there as a marketing ploy. Did it mention anything about Civil War II? No, not really. Nothing per se. But this book was just damn good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then the book ended. And replaced it with Mike Costa. Which, don't have a problem with Mike Costa. I think he's a good writer. It's just the fact that he didn't, like, we have, basically was the announcement, like, right after, like, this book just had to end after 13 issues. Which, I believe the same time this book ended is when Marvel ended, I think it was Darth Vader and Howard the Duck all ended the same month. If I remember correctly. Yeah, all three of those books probably ended the same month. Now, Darth Vader has come back a couple times since then, while Venom got restarted. And a lot of people were like, okay, we have this brand new Venom one coming out, and it's a new Venom. We're going to have a new host. And I think everyone was scratching their head like, wait, Venom has a host. His name is Flash Thompson. It's like, I guess Marvel was like, oh, no, he's no longer the host. It's Lee Pierce who's the host. A guy who, in my opinion, is probably the most boringest host I have ever seen. He is boring. There was nothing interesting about this guy aside the fact he's an ex-Army Ranger. That's it. At least Mike Costa a lot more interesting time with Eddie Brock, despite the fact I didn't like the whole thing of implying a sexual relation between Eddie Brock and the Venom symbiote. Yes. Now, in my opinion, okay, switching over the symbiote from Flash Thompson to Lee Pierce was definitely a bad idea. Also, not having Mike Costa bother to explain it was a bad idea too. Okay, so apparently we had this 150 issue, roughly 7 issues after the book had just got restarted. And, like, did Mike Costa bother to do it? Did Amy Michelini bother to explain this? No, we had to have Robbie Thompson come back to the book, even though he probably was done with the book, and have him bother to explain how the heck he lost the symbiote. And it was not a very good explanation. Yeah. So, as of right now, because I finished reviewing Venom Space Knight, I have reviewed officially everything released for Venom since 2011. Yes, everything in the past 11 years that has been released, with the exception of the two most recent issues that came out for the run, I have fully got complete done for Venom. Yep. There's just some other stuff I really want to review, like the Daniel Way run and the miniseries that came before that. But that'll come later on. Our next up is something quite interesting. We have the Ultimate Galactus Trilogy, which contains a series of 3 5-issue miniseries: Ultimate Nightmare, Ultimate Secret, and Ultimate Extinction. We also include the Ultimate Vision one-shot. Now, in the Ultimate Nightmare miniseries, which is the first we have in here, we have debut of 2 new characters and a reference of 1 new character. In the very first miniseries, we have debut of Falcon in the Ultiverse. Yes, the Falcon. Like, okay. We also debut of the Vision. Excuse me. Yeah. Debut of the Vision. We have interactions between the Ultimates and the X-Men. And we also debut a one-air character, the ultimate version of the Red Guardian. Yes. Now, unlike the Ultimate Secret, which that's set before the events of Ultimates 2, Ultimate Nightmare, I'm not really sure where the heck this is set. Let's see. I don't know if Ultimate Nightmare ever explained this at all, when the heck this takes place. Well, it doesn't. Yeah, mostly put for this book, it just pure setup for the very next book of the series. Now, Sam will also appear in the very first issue of the miniseries. Now, Vision is her anyways. We also debut of the Unicorn in the Ultiverse. Yes, the Unicorn, who only appeared for 1 issue. Yeah, it's one of those. How should I put this? It's one of those characters Marvel decided to bring, like Warren Ellis, who's the writer of this book, brought him in just to kill him off. They did a few other characters. We also have the first appearance of the Red Guardian, who is, even from the book itself, basically, he's almost spot on. He's basically kind of like very similar to the Ultimate Captain America. And he has the name of the original one. He's only here just for a couple issues, and that's it for him. Yep, appeared for 2 issues, and that's it for the character. Yeah, I'm not really sure why they killed him off for, but they did. In the final issue, the first appearance of the Vision, who is at first I think it's a guy, because design-wise, appearance, it looks very similar to the 616 version, who was a guy, though by Ultimate Vision number 0, it's been reconfigured to be a woman. Now basically the whole thing about that one was basically Vision mentioning, something's coming. Something really big and dangerous. What is it? Galactus, aka Galactus. Now, you might be thinking, does Galactus look anything like this? No. Galactus in the Ultiverse, it's shown here, is a freaking bug swarm. Yes, that dangerous. But you can kind of say Ultimate Nightmare, this time we can have a debut of a few cool characters. It laid the groundwork for the later stuff. Ultimate Secret, which they did confirm this one take place for Ultimates 2. This one had a debut of the Ultimate version of Captain Marvel and Carol Danvers, which, read this miniseries at the start, it felt like a minor reimagining of a little bit of Marvel Superheroes 12 and 13. Which was debut of 12 was the debut of the original Captain Marvel, Marvel, and issue 13 was the debut of Carol Danvers. Except this one was basically building up the whole thing with the space program, and this one also involved Fantastic Four showing up in this book. Yep, the Fantastic Four. You might be asking, does Spider-Man help out in this stuff? No, he doesn't. He is nowhere to be seen. Just the Ultimates, the X-Men, and Fantastic Four. That's it. Also, Fantastic Four brought to NASA, you have Reed Richards geeking out over seeing all the stuff related to NASA. Also, at this point, he's dating Susan Storm at this point. Yeah, he's dating her, but this relationship doesn't last much longer. It lasts for another few years before the events of Ultimatum. Yes. So, yeah, and of course you have... Now, in case you're curious, though, like, okay, we have this book where Marvel meets up with Nick Fury. Now, you might be asking, did Nick Fury in the regular universe ever meet Marvel? Nope. Never did. Not that I can think of, no. Now, this is what he looks like in the Ultimate Universe. This particular suit. And he's here just for this miniseries and the following one. And he does pop up one more time after this, but that's it. Mm-hmm. I mean, his first appearance is issue 1. We also first appearance of a character named Colonel North, who just appears just in this first issue. I don't think he does anything yet. There's mention of Yan Rang, who's basically a weird creature. He pops up for like one issue, and that's it. Mm-hmm. I mean, reading the first issue, it feels like a reimagining of Marvel Superheroes 13. That's what it feels like anyways. Yeah. But in the case of Captain Marvel himself, now you might be asking, does he ever really join the Ultimates? Or at least Iron membership with him like he does in 616? No. No, he doesn't. Because as soon as Ultimate takes your Rhapsody pops up for a couple issues of Fantastic Four, and of course here's Ultimate Mystery, which is the Ultimate Doomsday Trilogy, and appears one issue of Fallout. He dies in Hunger, and appears one issue of Cataclysm with X-Men. That's it. Yeah, the Ultimate version of Captain Marvel didn't really appear very much. No, he never did, which is kind of weird. The fact that he just simply never did. I believe that the second series, was debut of... I believe it was one other character made his debut in this one. Was this one, or was it... may have been in... let's see. I think it may have been in... Okay, yes, the first issue had the first appearance of a character I kind of forgot she appeared in the Ultimate Universe. Misty Knight. Yep, Misty Knight. Which you could thank Warren Ellis for bringing her in. Mm-hmm. They do bring up the fact that she has a metallic arm given to her by Tony Stark. Cap tries to arrest her, but he's like, no, you can't arrest me because I know Tony Stark. Yeah, and her appearances, this miniseries, Ultimate Mystery, Ultimate Doom, and that is it, Misty Knight. Yes. We also first appearance the first issue of Moondragon, which are a bunch of clones. And they appear just in this miniseries. There is, however, one other person who does appear in the third miniseries. A character who I'm kind of surprised they call him this. Let's see if I can find him here. Because his appearance here is quite surprising. a character known as the Silver Searcher, aka the Silver Surfer. Well, technically is not for his first appearance per se, but he's called the Silver Searcher for some reason. And he's just in like the first. He's in here for this particular whole event for like a one-off appearance, and that's it. Yeah. And if you're curious though about for Silver Surfer, he's most associated with in the Ultiverse with the Psycho Man over let's just say Galactus. Yes. Now this whole event was so good to read, and I was so happy when I saw this on the live website. They had this particular trade paperback that combined all three miniseries into one, which is really good. Now, like I said, Warren Ellis writes all three of these. Excuse me, and there's a Silver Surfer for you. Well, the Silver Searcher is what they call him for some reason. Now, each of these miniseries, they have different artists on it. Now, Ultimate Vision, that's written by Mark Millar, with John Romita Jr. on the artwork. Surprisingly, the Ultimate Vision miniseries, aside from issue 0, is not in here. Ultimate Nightmare was most done by Trevor Hershel with Steve Epting. Ultimate Secret, Steve McNiven and Tom Rooney. Ultimate Nightmare, Brandon Pearson. Yeah. This book is just really good. I do recommend it to people fans of the Ultimate Universe. Yeah, it's by far, you can kind of think of it as the first really big event for the Ultimate Universe aside before Ultimate Power. Yes. Now, in the case of the very first miniseries, that was released in 2004. That was the first time it was released. And in the case of the last issue of the final miniseries, Ultimate Extinction, which, by the way, in Ultimate Vision 0, that's when Vision becomes a woman. It was concluded in 2006, roughly about 2 years. So you had a series of 3 5-ish miniseries released in the course of 2 years, which was great. I personally love this stuff, and it's weird though. Galactus, a character associated with Fantastic Four in the second miniseries, and then the third one. But here's the thing: Galactus, this entity, never appears in Fantastic Four. Nope, never does. And you're thinking, really? It doesn't? Yeah, it doesn't. Which is kind of weird. Now you might be thinking, does Galactus ever return after this particular event wraps up? Well, the answer is yes. 7 years later, in Hunger, that's when Galactus returns. Yep, where he meets up with his 616 counterparts, where they merge with him. Yes, they merge with a gigantic being. And for some reason, Galactus himself doesn't have his spaceship Tela 2. Yeah, don't know why he doesn't have a spaceship in the Ultiverse. Yeah, it's never explained why. Yeah, it's by far one of the most interesting things related to the character of Galactus. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This book, pure fun. I give this whole event a 10 out of 10 because it's that damn good. And it's something from the Ultiverse not done by Mark Millar or even Brian Michael Bendis. It's all Warren Ellis, which is different. Which I don't mind this. And you might be asking, Nick, did Warren Ellis ever do any other thing associated with the Ultiverse aside from this stuff? No. Not to my knowledge. I don't think he ever did. Actually, no, he did do some issues of Ultimate Fantastic Four. So aside from this particular this event, the series of 3 miniseries from Marvel, he did Ultimate Fantastic Four briefly. He also did Ultimate Human, Armor Wars, and that's it. Just one ongoing series for a couple story arcs and like 5 miniseries. Excuse me. And this over the course of about 7 years. So not much for Ultimate Universe when it comes to Warren Ellis. I will be reviewing more stuff for him in the future. Don't worry about that. But this is one thing I've gotten officially done with when it comes to Warren Ellis and the Ultimate Universe. Yeah, so that's a particular review. Stay tuned for my next review, which is going to be Shaman King. Okay, next video. Bye.